Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to another video. This is Tifosi Culture TV and I'm Hotshot, and today we are going to be doing an analysis video of the North London derby where Arsenal beat their rivals Tottenham Hotspur 2-1 in a brilliant comeback victory. Jose Mourinho's men travelled to the Emirates in a fixture the Portuguese knows all too well, being involved in numerous clashes with Arsene Wenger. And it started off bright for Spurs. Erik Lamela opened the scoring with a brilliant Rabona goal that put the visitors up. However, Martin Odegaard levelled the scoring just before halftime. Alexander Lacazette scored the winner from the penalty spot in the 64th minute to seal a brilliant win for Mikel Arteta's side. The XG showed that it was a deserved result, with Arsenal having a 1.57 XG to Spurs' 0.71 XG. The XG time map showed that apart from Lamela's goal and for the last few minutes, Arsenal had the better quality chances. The stats also showed that even though Arsenal had more possession and more total shots, both Spurs and Arsenal had the same shots on target. So let's take a look at what tactics both teams used. So let's look at the formations. Arsenal fielded a 4-2-3-1 with Lacazette leading the line after Aubameyang was dropped due to disciplinary reasons. Smith Rowe, Odegaard and Saka were right behind him. Spurs made one change from their win against Crystal Palace as Ndombele comes into the side replacing Harry Winks. If you like this video, please make sure to drop a like and do subscribe if you're new to the channel where we do match previews, reviews, tactical analysis, team analysis and much more. And do check out our podcast called the Tifosi Culture Podcast where we cover awesome topics regarding football. Now let's look at what Arsenal tried to do when in possession of the ball. Arsenal typically built out with a back three, with Cedric dropping in as the third centre back. Tierney would push up high and wide and this would make Smith Rowe tuck inside narrower. As the game wore on, Arsenal built out with just two centre backs and Cedric often pushed up on the right hand side. Spurs did not look to actively press Arsenal as seen by their passes per defensive action, which was 14. Kane looked to press the centre back in possession of the ball while Moura, Bale and Son defended narrow to cut the passing lanes to the centre of the pitch. And this was why Xhaka and Partey would often drop next to the centre backs to receive the ball without pressure and look to progress the ball into the next phase of play. Xhaka and Partey had the most number of touches in the Arsenal side with 81 and 76 respectively. Arsenal typically attacked through their right hand side. Odegaard typically tended to occupy the wide right space or drop deep to receive the ball and try to influence the game from deep. This would lead to Saka being pushed up high and forward to occupy Reguilon. Arsenal would look to exploit the pace of Saka and Pepe with long balls. David Luiz would often look to play in over-the-top through balls with Saka or Pepe, who came on later for Saka at halftime, and he would also look to play the over-the-top through balls for Tierney to run onto. He finished the game with 10 long balls, the most among the Arsenal side. But it was on the left-hand side where Arsenal, particularly Smith Rowe and Tierney, created the most chances. Once the ball was out wide to Tierney, Doherty would look to press him, and this led to space being behind him, which Smith Rowe often looked to make runs into. Tierney or Xhaka would play through balls to Smith Rowe and he would look to cross it in. So in order to combat this, Højbjerg was used to help Doherty to avoid being in a 2v1 situation by staying on Smith Rowe. But at times Smith Rowe got the better of Højbjerg as well. Arteta countered this by having Lacazette drop into midfield to create numbers in the central areas and to try and occupy Højbjerg. This would leave Smith Rowe free to push up and occupy the half space. And he would also be able to drop wide or drop deep to receive the ball like Odegaard. Sometimes even Tierney and Smith Rowe would drift wide, stretching Doherty and Sanchez out wide, leading to Lacazette making runs into that space between Doherty and Sanchez. This combination of play was what led to Arsenal scoring the equalizer. Smith Rowe makes a run in on the underlap, drawing the attention of Ndombele, leaving Doherty 1v1 with Tierney. Doherty makes the mistake of showing Tierney to the outside and Tierney beats Doherty with pace. Højbjerg was caught ball watching and he did not check his shoulder to see Odegaard making the run and he leaves him. Tierney makes a cross and Højbjerg leaves it, not seeing Odegaard being right behind him, and Odegaard coolly finishes. On the right, Odegaard dropping wide right along with Cedric pushing up tended to cause overloads on the right hand side. David Luiz would also look to push up, creating extra numbers on the right. This caused Spurs to shuffle across to cope with the overload, and this would mean that Smith Rowe would occupy Doherty, and this allowed Tierney to operate in space. He would look to receive the ball from a quick switch of play, and he would look to use his space to put in a cross. He finished the game with 7 crosses, the most among the Arsenal players. In the second half, Jose made a change, bringing on Sissoko for Bale and playing him as one of the pivots, and this prevented Doherty from getting outnumbered 2v1, as Sissoko was more defensively capable than Ndombele. Sissoko was also functioning as an auxiliary right back. Now let's look at what Spurs tried to do when in possession of the ball. Spurs looked to play the ball short, as evident by Sanchez and Toby having the most number of touches in the Spurs side with 86 and 81 respectively. They would split wide and they would try to pass it out to the fullbacks. Arsenal tended to press high and with intensity, as seen by their passes per defensive action, which was 9. Arsenal pressed in a 4-4-2 shape. Odegaard would help Lacazette in joining the press of one of the 2 centre-backs, and this would lead to Højbjerg dropping in deep to receive the ball and look to progress the ball in the next phase. Arsenal would counter this by making only one of the 2, either Lacazette or Odegaard, press the ball side centre-back, while the other presses the centre-back in such a way that his cover shadow blocks the passing lane to the deepest midfielder. This was done so that Xhaka and Partey would not be drawn high up into the press, and thereby not letting Arsenal getting outnumbered in the midfield if Kane drops into midfield. On Spurs' left hand side, once the fullback receives the ball, Saka would look to press the fullback, and this created space behind him, which Lucas Moura would tend to drop deep to try and receive the ball, thereby drawing out Cedric, leaving space behind him open. Once that happens, Lamela would try and make runs in behind that space, but Partey would follow him there and would negate any threat of over-the-top through balls. If Spurs struggled to play out from the back, Lloris would not hesitate to play long balls. Lloris attempted 20 long balls, the most on the pitch. Typically, if Xhaka stepped forward to press Ndombele, he would leave behind a pocket of space, and Lamela would occupy the space. He would receive the ball and try to link up with Bale and Doherty. Doherty would make decoy runs to draw out Tierney, allowing Bale free to cut in and cross. Lloris typically looked to play the ball long to their right hand side for Bale, and later Lucas, who swapped wings to knock down the ball for Harry Kane. This was why Spurs played predominantly down their right hand side. Mostly it was Harry Kane who would look to drop into midfield to try and receive the ball and play Lucas, Bale or Lamela, who would be playing ahead of him. But as soon as he would receive the ball, Xhaka would immediately press him and not give him time to recover. If Xhaka was following Ndombele, then the centre-back would step out and try to win the aerial duel with Kane. Higher up the pitch, Spurs fullbacks would push up higher and Arsenal defended in a narrow, compact 4-4-2 shape, and this meant that the wide spaces were completely free, hence Reguilon and Bale were in acres of space. Lucas and Lamela would tuck inside to draw in Saka and Cedric. This allowed Bale and Reguilon to be able to switch the ball out to the opposite flanks quickly to put in a cross, and this was how the first goal was scored. Doherty takes out Tierney, leading Lacazette to take on Bale. Bale easily beats Lacazette, who cuts in and crosses it. Saka rushes out to take on Reguilon, allowing Lamela space to make a run into the box, unmarked. Reguilon puts in a first-time cross to Lucas Moura, which leads to 2 people, Cedric and Partey, to close down Lucas Moura, who passes it to Lamela, who's free. Lamela does a Rabona and beats Leno at his far post. In the end, Spurs were not able to progress the ball further up the pitch to get the ball to Kane, And this was because of Arsenal's excellent pressing, which prevented Spurs time to find Harry Kane. And this was why Kane finished with 30 touches, the 10th lowest in the squad, only ahead of Dele, Sissoko, Son and Bale, two of whom were substitutes towards the end of the game and one of them was subbed off early. This result sees Arsenal stayed within 4 points of Spurs with 9 games left to play for, and this could be the catalyst for their European ambitions. The man of the match has to go to Kieran Tierney. The Scottish left back was the Gunners' key man going forward. He finished the game with 2 key passes, the second most in the Arsenal side, 7 crosses, the most in the side, 10 attempted long balls, the joint most, and 2 dribbles, the joint most. He also made a total of 6 tackles, which was the highest. So that is it guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like, comment down below if there were any other tactics that I might have missed. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Peace.